Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast for our final segment of the day. And considering we are just coming off of the Hall of Fame game and really scratching at that itch for football, I want to talk about the things I'm most excited to watch play out this season. And the first one that comes to mind for me is I am just so fascinated about the hierarchy of quarterbacks in the AFC. We've seen for the past few years, we have all these up-and-coming stars. It was Patrick Mahomes' sort of league for the taking, and then we saw the Josh Allens and the Joe Burrows start to rival their way into the conversation. Lamar Jackson hasn't necessarily had that postseason moment yet that we've been waiting on, but I'm someone that really believes in Lamar in terms of him eventually going to be able to break through. So he's in that conversation as well. CJ Stroud emerges onto the scene with an all-time rookie season last year. So that's something that I'm always sort of watching for. And, I just talked about Justin Herbert as well earlier in the show. It seemed like he maybe had a flash in the pan in terms of being put into those conversations. Now, injuries have derailed that, and overall just the lack of stability there in LA in terms of the job that their front office has done for putting talent around him. But I think that there is just such a constant evolving of these conversations, and the AFC in general is just so loaded at the top there that in terms of quarterback talent, that I think that ultimately NFL fans are never just going to fully sit back and enjoy things that they're never going to be willing to acknowledge that every one of them is great. But I do like sort of monitoring the way that we see these guys matched up against one another. I mean, of course, Mahomes is in a league of his own pretty much, but that who is going to be his, the Peyton Manning to him being Tom Brady, that has been sort of the dialogue over the past couple seasons. And it might just be that Mahomes has more than one rival, that he has, a number of different quarterbacks sort of itching to take the throne from him. But I mean, the way it's been up to this point, I wouldn't say he has his one nemesis yet. So that's really what I'm getting at here, is I wonder if that we are going to see somebody really snatch that. Again, it's kind of lame talking about snatching the number 2 spot, but I do think that would kind of mean a lot, because right now we are sort of in the Patrick Mahomes era, not to, gas him up too much necessarily, but it's hard to deny that when he's won, 3 Super Bowls, and he's started for 6 seasons, 7 seasons, something along those lines. So, Mahomes is a crazy talent, and I do just sort of want to see, if we end up getting some sort of all-time quarterback rivalry that comes out of this era that we're currently living in, with a ton of quarterback talent stacked up in one conference. That being said, I'm also looking at the NFC side and seeing it. I want to see whether or not we do see the, true emergence of any one of those quarterbacks sort of take the reins, because additionally, we spend so much time talking about the AFC quarterbacks that, I think very clearly the top 4 quarterbacks in the league are in that AFC. If you're going Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Lamar. And then still you probably lean towards the AFC. Now, we have maybe some potential candidates there. Jordan Love has been getting a ton of flowers over the course of this offseason, and people are really buying in there. And I'm on board with him too, for sure, but I would probably like to see a little bit more of that elite ceiling, which is definitely still a possibility. He was tremendous down the stretch of the second half of the season, but, this was an interesting point that I heard on the Ringer NFL show a few days ago about if Jordan Love had his season sort of played in reverse and he was playing really good football at the beginning and the rough patch was towards the end, he would not have gotten that $220 million contract probably. And obviously that's unfair. The idea is that you are supposed to progress with time, but I'm just saying that's kind of the margin that we're looking at here. Is we are analyzing him entirely off of one season for the most part. Obviously there were people that were high on him when he was coming out of Utah State. I gotta be honest, I don't know how much film I've really crunched on a Utah State Jordan Love from 2019, 2020, but again, I'm saying all this, and that's on me 100%. But Jordan Love, I still believe in him, and I think that he can be, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC easily, but is he going to be seen as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? I do still think that there's another level to go there, which is to be expected considering the fact that he has had just one season's worth of playing experience so far, despite the fact he's been in the league for the past few years. But I do sort of think that Caleb Williams has a golden opportunity to jumpstart his way into that conversation in terms of best quarterbacks in the NFC, because the top you have right now, it's Dak Prescott and it's Jalen Hurts, and both of them are definitely viewed as flawed to some degree. I think that I like Dak Prescott more than the average fan. I'm comfortable saying he's a very good quarterback, probably somewhere around that 7th, 8th spot, but inside of the top 10 sort of comfortably, I would say. Jalen Hurts is in that conversation as well. I feel like I did a quarterback ranking video a couple weeks ago, and I did sort of come away with it feeling bad that I wasn't higher on Jalen Hurts, but I'm also, I don't think that he has the true superstar best quarterback in the league potential necessarily. So it's kind of hard to balance there. And then Brock Purdy is the other name that obviously garners a lot of attention, considering the fact that he is the quarterback that everybody is sort of just waiting to we're just waiting to see him fail, even though he has not done so over the course of the past couple seasons, and that when he's played, he's been massively successful for the 49ers. Now, obviously, in a Shanahan offense with the best supporting cast that any 7th-round pick possibly could have ever dreamed of walking into, and what that looks like from here is sort of a big deal for sure. And then I also feel like, just in terms of storylines for this upcoming season, there are a couple coaching situations that I'm really interested in. We just covered the Broncos season preview a couple days ago. Definitely be sure to check that out if you missed it. But Sean Payton, I think that this isn't necessarily a make or break year for him. This is a transition year, but with considering Bo Nix is likely going to be their starting quarterback, it's not a ton of people I think are super high on Bo Nix, even though supposedly Sean Payton is. But just seeing the vision of the Broncos, seeing how that plays out, I think is going to be very important for the overall legacy of Sean Payton. We talked about Antonio Pierce enough earlier in the show, and whether or not he is able to sort of fend off being a lame duck coach that's just sort of sitting on the sidelines until the Raiders organization sees a bigger fish and they can, invest themselves into it. Seems like he has the locker room, but, some degree. And I'm not even going to go there. Just the idea of, how far can the power of friendship really push you? And Antonio Pierce is, obviously far more technically sound than that. But when you look at the Raiders being successful this year, I think that it's going to be, again, the locker room being invested and taking some overachieving players. And it doesn't happen without good coaching. So it's going to be a nice sort of establishing point for Antonio Pierce. And then, obviously, Mike McCarthy as well. And what goes on there in Dallas, and just the overall Dallas kind of circus show that has been taking place over the course of the past couple seasons, how this all seems to shake out financially. Going to be so many questions about Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons that, I'm sure you've heard enough of over the course of this past offseason, but is something that is still going to be very interesting to tune into. But that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for tuning into the GSMC Sports Podcast. Thank you to the GSMC Sports Network for allowing us to host this show. Remember to like, follow, subscribe wherever you keep up with us. Be sure to check us out on social media as well for more exclusive short content. And we will be back on Monday, same time as always, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We will see you then. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go.